/ 4 weeks had passed since anyone inside the Duke's residence had set foot outside. The soldiers who had ringed the gates had quietly vanished at some point, but the household had not emerged regardless. They were waiting, it seemed, for the right moment. Marin sat with her eyes full of quiet sadness, watching Pan Pan. In front of the rabbit lay a small mountain of carefully prepared roasted meat. Pan Pan had woken up, but she was eating only grass. She avoided the meat entirely, even though meat had always been her favorite. It would have been a relief if grass alone were enough to restore her strength, but no matter how closely Marin watched, Pan Pan remained listless and drained. She was fighting something inside herself, Marin thought. Pan Pan would stare at the roasted meat with wary, tense eyes, then pointedly turn her head away. Then turn back. Stare again. Her throat would move in a small, involuntary swallow. She clearly wanted it, but something was stopping her. She was afraid, Marin realized. Afraid that if she ate, she might fall asleep and be taken away again. Marin watched the rabbit wage her cold, silent war against the plate of meat and made a decision. She would show her it was safe. Pan Pan. Look, this is good. I'll eat some first. The moment Marin picked up a piece of meat and lifted it toward her mouth, Pan Pan's eyes snapped open. One swift paw smacked the meat clean out of her hand. Her expression was unmistakable. Why are you eating something so dangerous? She even stamped her foot against the ground, apparently beside herself with exasperation. Marin quietly retrieved the piece of meat from the floor, avoiding Pan Pan's reproachful gaze. Can a rabbit this size really survive on grass alone? Given how large Pan Pan had become, she was fairly certain the answer was no. Marin swallowed a worried sigh. Pan Pan snorted. She turned back to the mountain of meat, stared hard at it for a long moment, then turned her head away again. Then looked back. After several repetitions of this, her gaze drifted past the plate and settled on Gerard, who had been watching from a few steps behind. Gerard raised an eyebrow. Pan Pan stared at him steadily. What? Why are you looking at me? A silent standoff unfolded between the man and the rabbit. Then Pan Pan reached out and nudged the plate of meat deliberately toward Gerard with her paw. Gerard blinked, startled, then laughed despite himself. Marin had been watching the whole exchange. She made up her mind. If Pan Pan wouldn't allow her to eat it, then at least Gerard would. With a slightly guilty expression, Marin picked up the nicest piece from the plate and held it out toward him. Your Grace, the Duke. Why are you calling me Duke again? Gerard crossed his arms and looked at her with mild disapproval. Marin averted her eyes. She did have a conscience. How could she possibly meet his gaze after this? I'm sorry. Fine. I suppose I can do this much for you. He uncrossed his arms and looked at her expectantly. Ah-ha. Marin looked up in confusion. Gerard's arms were folded over his chest again. I seem to have my hands occupied. Oh, yes, of course. Here. Marin, properly chastened, fed him the piece of meat with careful, attentive hands. When Gerard made a point of swallowing, Pan Pan's eyes went wide. Her silver gaze fixed intently on his throat. Marin pointed quickly. Pan Pan. Did you see that? It's fine. You can eat it. But from now on, you'll only eat meat that we give you ourselves. All right? Pan Pan's ears rose as she listened. Then she turned, slowly approached the plate, and delicately picked up a piece of roasted meat. She chewed one side with great caution, one small bite at a time. The moment the seasoned juices and fat hit her tongue, Pan Pan's whole body gave a visible shudder, as if something long suppressed had finally broken through. And then she was eating properly, gnawing at the meat with real enthusiasm. Marin watched with a deep, quiet satisfaction. Marin. She looked up at Gerard, who had given her the cue that made all of this possible. Yes, Gerard. I want you to know, I just ate a piece of meat for you. Because you're hopelessly endearing. Marin curved her lips gently and gave him a slow, solemn thumbs up. Your Grace. You are truly the best. Gerard laughed. / the Emperor's office. Welcome. Duke of the South. The Emperor greeted Smith with an expression of visible relief, as if he had finally received good news. I heard the matter has been resolved. Smith stood before him with a calm, neutral face. I've been plagued with headaches lately, as you may have heard. How do you intend to proceed? The Emperor's tone was cordial, almost friendly, but his eyes were measuring, calculating Smith's intentions. After all, wasn't the Duke of the South himself rather deeply involved in this affair? Smith said nothing. His face remained expressionless. He gave the impression of a man with nothing to answer for. The Emperor's snake-like eyes narrowed. Duke of the South. The Emperor's golden eyes sharpened. Should I take that to mean the Empire needs to clarify where it stands? I find myself in agreement with the general opinion, Your Majesty. Smith inclined his head slightly. What? The Emperor's voice hardened. You're saying we should simply let the West walk away from this? Shouldn't we be concerned with stopping the tide of monsters? I intend to support the Duke of the West. Smith raised his face and answered with complete composure. Duke of the South. The Emperor's voice dropped. Are you quite certain about this? Do you think the Duke of the West will simply overlook what you've been doing once he learns of it? The Emperor watched the Southern Dukes change position and let the threat hang in the air. But Smith's expression showed no trace of alarm. If it is my responsibility to bear, then I will bear it. It's the West, the West. Do you have any idea what sort of man he is? You'll regret not taking my hand when you had the chance. The Emperor slammed his desk. The Southern Duke's face remained unmoved. Did this situation not make it clear to you? The Emperor pressed, his voice rising. I am capable of anything. Do you think I don't know the secrets of the South? At the harsh warning, Smith pressed his lips together, suppressing, just barely, the urge to laugh. The Emperor still believed he was Seth. He threatened, not knowing that the man who had stolen Smith's name was already dead and gone. I wish your Majesty every success, Smith said pleasantly. I think I need time to consider this further. Come back with a satisfactory answer, next time. The Emperor issued his cold final warning. Smith stepped back with a composed bow and withdrew from the room. The Emperor remained standing, pressing 2 fingers against the space between his brows. I'm going to the 7th Empress's chambers. His attendant followed quietly behind him. / drink this, Your Majesty. The green tea in the cup shimmered with clarity, pale and clean. It's stronger than usual today. The Emperor lifted the cup and took a slow sip. You mentioned the headaches have been bad, so I brewed it a little stronger. Ira watched him with a look of gentle concern. Ha! I suppose I do need this to get through the day. Across the room, the attendant who had followed the Emperor stood at a respectful distance, turning the matter over privately. Does this tea really have such remarkable medicinal properties? I've never been able to understand why the Emperor's headaches always ease after drinking it. All herbs provided by the 7th Empress underwent thorough examination, but perhaps another look was warranted. You have a great deal weighing on you lately, Ira said softly. Quite. The Duke of the West refuses to yield an inch. Even with soldiers at his gates, he hasn't bent. What on earth is going through his head? The Emperor frowned, pressing down the rising edge of his temper. I've been hearing, Ira said conversationally, lifting her own cup, that people in the streets have taken to calling the Duke of the West's fiancé a saint. What? Ira covered her mouth with one hand, eyes dancing at the Emperor's startled expression. Rather interesting, isn't it? TSK. Idiots. A saint, it's been centuries since a saint has even appeared. Hasn't it also been centuries since a witch last appeared? Ira tilted her head with an expression of perfect innocence. The emperor elected not to answer that. He cleared his throat, drank his tea, and set the cup down. Attendant. Yes, your majesty. The servant stepped forward quickly. Send a message to the Duke of the West. Tell him that I will formally declare his fiancée a saint, and in exchange, he is to withdraw his trade announcement. He was making a concession. Surely the Duke of the West would accept. For the first time in a long while, the emperor allowed himself a small, settled smile. Across from him, Ira looked down at her tea. Her eyes glimmered with quiet, private satisfaction.